Hi, I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I'm an executive job search and leadership coach, as well as the head coach for JobSearchCoachingHQ.com. And this is a video that I'm doing for HR professionals and hiring managers to help you with the decision making about who to hire after a second or a final interview. Because I work with the assumption that you're bringing back more than one person. How do you decide between these people who to choose? Now, if you're HR, I want to give you the encouragement to guide the hiring manager in this process. If you're the hiring manager, fabulous. I'm talking to you, really. And where you need to work to make this decision is before this person comes in the door. And let's say you're bringing back 3 people. Number one is really review what it is that you need for this role. So the need is the most important thing, and that starts off with your job description and how you might have tweaked it since the beginning of the search to ensure that all points are covered in your assessment process. See, I'm going to stick primarily with skills mesh, not personality fit, because I don't believe many of you are equipped to judge personality. And I'll review that in just a second. So my focus is really on skills here. And starting off with, what do you need to know about this person for them to become the winner or to disqualify them for consideration? And that's a pre-interview evaluation on your part. You have 3 people. You can really take 5 or 10 minutes tops to jot down some quick notes about each person to determine what it is you really need to know in order to feel comfortable releasing them from consideration in your mind or hiring them. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is I want you to develop standardized questions to cover these points, because there will probably be some redundancies between the different people and the questions that you have. So make sure that the questions that you pose of each are consistent. So if you have a concern about this one element of all 3 people, you want to ask all 3 people the same question, because not doing so suggests bias on your part, favoritism, or shall we say lack of favoritism, wink, wink, on your part. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't have preferences going into this round, but your job is to make objective assessments to see who's going to serve your needs best. And I've had hiring managers come to me and make offers on the third person going into the final round. They just said, they knocked my socks off. It was fabulous. So you want to standardize your questioning. And you also want to be forthright with individuals about what the expectations are. Now, this is a subtlety here, but you want to talk people out of your job if possible, scaring them about situations. You want to be as much yourself as you want them to be themselves. And the reason I say this is because hiring managers often forget that the people who they are interviewing are on good behavior, and so are they. And thus, you make decisions about fit when people aren't being natural. So you have to kind of set the stage on creating a natural environment for conversation. And if it's not you, if it's a staffer who's that individual, well, you've got to encourage them. Standard questions of all, and as casual as possible, and keep personal opinions out of it. Oh, I don't like that person. Well, just tell me if they're qualified, okay? And then you can say, what didn't you like about this person? And then file it aside, because you never know what they did to tick off the individual to get a response. Again, you're focusing on skills and getting clarification of skills. Now, usually at least one person knocks themselves out of consideration just on that basis if you're bringing 3 people back. So now you've got 2 qualified people, and it comes down to who's closest on price point. So that's number 1. And number two really is, you think in terms of not fit, but think in terms of the salary consideration. And the reason I say not fit goes back to number one, you're on good behavior and they are on good behavior, so you're not getting real personality. And number two is you haven't evaluated your own people, using objective measures to see what this person is going to be like by administering objective measures. So you're just basically, taking a position based upon, okay, I think they fit in. And unfortunately, you haven't been all that good at it because the statistics are more than half of new hires there's buyer's remorse over within 12 months. So, let's just work with the assumption that this person's going to disappoint you at some point. And no amount of repetition is going to get them to change that. It's going to be some dynamics within your group that I'm not going to address today. So I'll just start by saying these are some of the ways that will make it apparent to you who on the basis of skills will fit in best. I also want to say consider the energy that the person would bring to your team. And that's really the last dynamic I'm going to deal with. Will your team, because I'm going to use my own age as an example, there are a bunch of people in their 60s, try and get a person in their 20s to conform to being a little bit more slow-moving. Is this person or is this team that you have someone who is, I'm just using an example from my own career, very heavy and requires slow movement for everything because that's how they move, and they just find it intimidating to have someone with a lot of energy around. So maybe you want to bring in an energetic person to drive up, but also be aware that the pressure is going to be on for them to conform because there are more of your existing team than there are of the new person. I'll simply say the environment tends to win in these conditions, and the result winds up being the likelihood that one person will make 5 or 6 existing people change is pretty small. So just think in terms of that dynamic, the energy that this person brings, how it will mesh with your team, and that's it. So I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. I'd love to coach you in your hiring. I'm not a recruiter, I'm a coach. Hope you have a great day. Take care.